About 40 miles south of the Wyoming border, located between two major canyons in the Front Range of the Colorado Rockies, lies a valley called Pleasant Valley. It's flanked on the west by mountains and on the east by a large bluff we call Buffalo Cliff. It was in this setting that my parents in 1961 bought a little 20-acre farm. 2 years earlier, Dad had completely lost sight in both his eyes. He was, at the time, 31 years old. But together, Dad and Mom set about transforming this rundown piece of property into a farm, a home for our family. They tore down the old buildings and built new ones. And where weeds once grew and ramshackled buildings once stood, now a barn, woodshed, hog pen, granary, and a large workshop stood. Our farm became a home to a menagerie of livestock, chickens and turkeys, beef cattle, milk cows, hogs, sheep, and even a few horses over the years. Dad built a tree nursery to nurture saplings to plant on the farm, and today, when you visit there, about 23 different species of trees dot the landscape of the property. Where blindness might have handicapped the average person, Dad adapted to his circumstances. Dad's story soon caught the attention of local and regional and even national media. On several occasions, Denver TV stations ran spots on the news on the marvel of a totally blind farmer and his wife effectively operating a farm. In fact, Paul Harvey himself featured them in a 1-minute spot on his noontime radio program on one occasion. Here is one of those TV interviews that was conducted in 1995.
Bob Bland is a sheep farmer by profession, a toy builder by passion, and a blind man by turn of fate.
By the time I was 3 years old, I was practically totally blind. But then I had 4 surgeries in by the time I was 7.
Let him take your arm and tell you about the first time he saw his wife or watching his children be born. His blindness was cured for a time. Doctors gave him long enough to watch his 3-year-old daughter feed the sheep. Then his retinas gave out.
I have boards, a lot of places. I use it as a guide to come right along like this. That way then I don't have to go fumble it and catch on wire. I can just go right along like this.
Relying on rhythm, metal against fence, flesh on wire, Bland finds his way wherever.
I got a network of wires all over the place, and this one, there's one right here. I had to raise it up a little bit because the turkeys kept jumping on it.
A maze of aluminum guides strung from one end to the other, some 9 acres, wired for sight.
Yeah, there it is. I got it. That's the old dump brake, isn't it? Yeah, all right. It's a spin knocker.
Little gets in his way. At 68, he's spent half his life creating this vision. And he doesn't let the little stuff slow him down. There are days when the sun doesn't shine. You'll find him building. He's rather proud of his wood shop structured from chicken coop.
A 5-foot picnic table that will be for children's height, you know. Oh, in wintertime I could spend all the time in here building all toys. We've built a lot of toys for our grandchildren and our own children and grandchildren.
Building the trust of children one bridge at a time. Teaching kids about difference one step at a time.
The Lord has blessed us richly with this kind of a property, and we were glad to use it.
A simple place with simple pleasure.
Our place is famous worldwide.
A place of enchantment full of tree houses and climbing ropes, where travel is by hand trolley and kids look down from 3 stories high.
Or if you come on up to this next one, this will catch you just right. Or you can go on up to the 3rd one and it'll come it comes the same distance that way. And when you jump off, I'll jump off if everybody out of the way.
Yeah. high enough to scare even the bravest. But Bob Bland is anything but scary.
You know, when you're crippled or blind or whether you're paralyzed or whatever, you just have to bend your attitude to fit your circumstance.
Just bend your attitude and build an adventure, then set the children free. In Bellevue, Julia Sandage, News 4, Northern Bureau.
After the three of us children left home and after the grandchildren grew up, Dad and Mom continued to use their farm to serve others, making it a virtual outdoor playground for children of all ages. Dad, with some help from Mom, built a tree house, a rope swing, a zip line, and an awesome sack swing. The farm has been the site for Easter egg hunts, picnics for church groups, and a day camp for handicapped children. Troubled youth come to the farm as a place to learn responsibility and Christian values. And once in a while, even the adult grandchildren come home to experience an adrenaline rush on the sack swing.
This is going to be on YouTube later. That'll make it worth it.
Dad and Mom have always loved music and loved singing, and they taught their children to love music. Rob mastered the cello, Don the piano, and Dave tried to play the violin. Dad has led singing in church ever since he was a teenager. And Dad and Mom both have performed music programs for various groups and occasions and have sung at over 100 funerals. Even in their 80s, they still sing around the kitchen table, at nursing homes, and in church.
And he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own, and the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever.
Just to trust His cleansing blood, just in simple faith to plunge me 'neath the healing cleansing flood. Jesus, Jesus, how I trust Him, how I proved Him o'er and o'er. Jesus, Jesus, precious Jesus, oh, for grace to trust Him more. Jesus, Jesus, precious Jesus, oh, for grace to trust Him more.
One of the many things Dad has had to do in order to adapt to his handicap and make the most of his situation is to develop his memory. Dad memorizes phone numbers, addresses, birthdays, anniversaries, and other facts he needs to have ready at hand. But what he loves to do most is to memorize poems. And at 85 years old now, Dad has memorized some 60 to 70 poems and can quote most all of them on demand. Here is one example.
You tell me I'm getting old, I tell you that's not so. The house I live in is worn out, and that, of course, I know. It's been around a long, long time. It's weathered many a gale, and I'm not surprised that you think it's getting somewhat frail. The color's changing on the roof, the windows getting dim, the wall's a bit transparent, looking rather thin. The foundation's not so steady as once it used to be. Yes, my house is getting shaky, but my house isn't me. The dweller in my house is bright and young and gay, just going on a life to last throughout eternal day. I'm going to live forever there, Life will go on. It's grand. You tell me I am getting old, you just don't understand. You only see the outside, and that's all that most folks see. You tell me I'm getting old, you've mixed my house with me.
Dad has learned to accept his handicap, and as he says, bend his attitude to fit the circumstances. Oh yes, it's brought challenges and created many hardships, but he's learned to live with the hand he was dealt and even embrace the limitations. Now, however, while they still remain on the farm, he faces a whole new challenge as Mom is in the advanced stages of dementia. Dad relies on some fundamental resources that enable him to remain faithful through these difficult circumstances. Those resources include his relationship with God, Scripture, prayer, and inspirational poetry. Throughout the course of a day, Dad will frequently face a situation that triggers a poem in his mind. Recently, on one particular evening, at the supper table, as he and Mom were facing the difficult realities of their situation, he once again called forth a poem.
I thought about in relationship to myself right now, too. I'll say it and then I'll make a comment about mine. I did not learn to trust until I learned to pray. I did not learn to fully trust until sorrow came my way. Until I felt my weakness, his strength I never knew, nor dreamed until I was stricken that he would see me through. Who drinketh deep of sorrow, drinks deepest too of grace. He sends the storms so that he himself can be our hiding place. His heart which seeks our highest good, and you know this part, Mother.
I know.
His heart which seeks our highest good
Right,
knows well when things annoy.
right,
We
correct.
would not long for heaven
Heaven,
if earth held only joy.
right.
Dad's handicap created hardships for both of them. They experienced emotional and financial stresses through the years as they struggled to make ends meet. But they stayed with each other through thick and thin. They always loved each other.
So like you for that, okay?
Who are you talking to? Are you talking to me or
Yeah,
to Davy?
you take this, give it to Cricket.
Oh, Cricket. Okay, give it to Cricket.
Yeah,
Okay, you can give it to Cricket.
no, you give it to Cricket.
She'd love it.
Where are you?
I'm right here, hon. Hang on. Just a minute. I'm coming.
I know you like to give her things.
I do.
Okay, I'm gonna go
I love
down
to
past
give.
you just a bit.
You gonna do what, hon?
I'm down past you here.
Thank you, Dad.
Yes, thank you.
Dad, I love you.
I love you. I told you when we were married.
You told me
I
when
love
we were
you.
married, what?
I told you the day we were married. I love you. And if I ever change my mind, I'll let you know.
That you never, that you what? Come here. Tell me that again.
I told you the day we married down here, some 60-some years ago, I loved you. And if I change my mind, I'll let you know.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, and you haven't let me know?
I haven't changed my mind.
Okay. Well, thank you, hon. I love you.
I love you. Love you, Mama.
Okay, Cricket. I suppose you gotta have this thing.